guys, how's it going? Today we are starting off here in the flower shed. We've got some cleaning, organizing, and a little bit of decorating to do. And when we're done with that, we're going to go cut some branches for our mantle inside. Standing outside the flower shed, you can see that we are still covered in snow. However, we've got some days in the high 40s and 50s on the way. I am so looking forward to that. I think that might mean spring is on its way. Possibly, hopefully. But if we go in here, you can see our pile. We recently cleared out the whole east bay in the barn, which, I wanted to bring most of the baskets out here anyway. So we need to go through all of these and just double check them. I know that there are some, that aren't going to live quite as long as others. And those will probably have a section just for those. But some of our stronger baskets and the ones that I use most often, I want to arrange them on the wall somehow. Wouldn't it be nice just to be able to walk in, see the baskets, and pop the one off the wall that you want to go harvest with? I've also got some vases. So here and in the back of the gator, see all of these right here? They ended up in the studio. So I brought them all back out here so that we could do some organizing in our cabinets, also the table. I guess let's just take a look around here. Show you what's in here. We've got our garbage can and broom and a few cleaning supplies. I'm going to close this because we do have a heater and I've got it running, so it's fairly pleasant in here right now. Then I've got just this old table that belonged to my mom's dad, my grandpa. So I was able to get one of those tables, which is so fun. I think my mom's got the other one. Then we've got a crate full of vases. These are some that Bethany had brought in that she found at thrift stores that we could use for flower giveaways. And then we just have a whole bunch of stuff. I will probably end up with giveaways. The kids create potions, so I've got lots of potions going on. I might consolidate those. What is going on here? There we go. But things like this, I used this at one time to make a succulent cornucopia arrangement, but I probably won't ever use it again, or I can't see myself using it again, so do I want to keep it? Probably not. So we're going to go through and create a little giveaway pile as well. There's a really pretty, mantle looking shelf. I don't know that I actually want it to be on this wall. I kind of want it just to all be baskets. So we'll figure out something else to do with that. It's beautiful though. Look at that. My mom and I picked it up on an antiquing trip once. And then over here, I do have some old chairs that really need to be recovered, but is it really worth it out here in a flower shed? Probably not. We've got our drying rack right here, which I don't have really anything in. There's a couple straw flowers. The rest of mine have made it into the house. And then we've got this cabinet. Right here. In here we've got a lot of potions as well going on. And then, containers that just aren't quite my style will end up in the giveaway as well. There's some beautiful things in here too. Look at this picture. Isn't that beautiful? I could use that inside, or we could put some beautiful flowers in it. So anyway, that's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to tackle this flower shed so that we've got a cleared off table. It might end up meaning that I need to locate another shelving unit or something like that, depending on what we end up with out here. But I try to keep it fairly open around this whole table and nothing on the table, so that when we do have a project we want to come do, it's easy just to pop in here and do that. But boy, having all the light in here and the little bit of heat from that heater is wonderful. And I've got a bunch of nails here, hoping to get away with using some smaller nails. I might have to use a couple of big ones for bigger baskets. I also thought about using, what are those? The command strip things. I just don't think that they're going to be, I mean, it gets freezing cold in here. We don't run the heater except for when I'm working out here in the winter. It gets freezing cold and super hot, and those types of things, even the outdoor ones, don't tend to, I guess just in my experience, don't tend to hold all that well, and I don't want baskets falling off the wall. So I don't mind a few little nail holes. It's an imperfect wall anyway. There's lots of little areas, to sneak nails that you won't see it. There's a lot of knots and stuff. So I don't think it'll be a big deal. This is just the raw wood. I initially thought about painting it, but I kind of love the rustic nature of the wood in here. Anyway, guys, I think we're just going to get after this project and see how it ends up. So here we go. Also, I just realized the coat I'm wearing, I could stand against this wall nobody would know I was here. I match. Camouflage. I think the easiest thing to do is to make separate piles. So make a pile of baskets that I don't necessarily want to hang on the wall that may not last for a long time. And then a giveaway pile, and then maybe we'll create on this tabletop like the arrangement before we put it up. Oh, this is one of my favorite baskets right here. Perfect size, and it's got strong handles. Well, it did have strong handles. Okay, so these are the baskets that I absolutely love. You can tell I like shallow, sturdy baskets. Now I did put this one in here even though it's not as sturdy, because I've got another one almost identical to it in the barn. I did leave a stack of baskets in the root cellar because I like to have a basket to bring potatoes and onions and garlic and whatever else we might have in the root cellar to the kitchen, so I have baskets to do that. I also have a stack of baskets in the studio so they're closer to the raised bed garden, and that way, you know, if we want to harvest some things up there, we don't have to come clear out here for baskets. So it's just like figuring out where I use the most and where and what's the most efficient. I don't know. So this whole arrangement of baskets might have to change depending on how often I find myself using them, but I don't know. I think they're all going to be nice on the wall because none of them are too tall and they're not going to snag you as you walk by. Like none of these are deeper than the shelves already are. So I think we're going to be good. Yeah, I think we should start in possibly with this one, like kind of front and center, and then kind of work around it. And they might shift based on how it's looking, like how they're coming together. And then over here are some other baskets that just aren't quite in keeping with this look, I guess, right here. And they're too heavy. I feel like it would be harder to hang them. Like this is a great harvest basket, but it is heavy. This one's amazing. I actually like this one better than this one, but the handles are not connected. Like they just kind of hang on there. And while I don't think it would fall off if I hung it up, this one just, I don't know, like it's not in keeping with the whole wicker aesthetic thing here. So I don't know if I want to hang that one up. And then these, just a little bit hard to hang, that sort of thing. So we'll figure out a better way or a different way to display these. Okay, so now comes the nail and hammer part. I want it about right here. What do you think? Is that too high? And I'm trying to line this up with the center. There's a light that's right in the center of this area. These shelves might need to be shifted. I don't think they're exactly right. So if this looks like it's not in the center, I can fix that by moving the cupboards. I need a chair. Quick break to show you our progress. It's looking beautiful thus far and exactly what I wanted. Now we've got room for a few more baskets in here, or not, just it kind of depends on how we end up using it. And I created areas to store wreath forms and the additional harvest baskets. So take a look at this. Isn't that so fun? And the mantle down below is actually perfect. It provides a little bit of elevation for our other harvest basket options. And then, like I said, we've got room for a few more baskets should we want to, or I might see how like the cattails fill in that little space. I might create something to fill in that space. There's also space on the other side. And then to the left of this little hutch, I hung the 2 metal baskets. They fit in perfect right there. Still have the wicker one on the ground that's easy to grab. And then on the other side, we've got our wreath forms right here so that they're not taking up awkward space on a table. They're really awkward things to organize unless you've got a place to hang them like this. But the best part is you walk in here, kind of survey what you've got to work with, and you know what you're going to go harvest. So let's say you want to use this basket. Just pop it off the wall. When you're done, you just pop it right back. Oh, that's so great. Before, you guys, we had these in heaps in the barn. I mean, they were just in really mangy looking stacks. It was hard to get them out because they were in a shelving unit that wasn't quite tall enough for them. So you'd have to pull out a whole stack to get to the one you wanted. This is so much better. Oh my goodness. And I've wanted to do this for like the past year and a half, maybe 2 years, and it's just taken me a little while to get my act together. The only 2 that I have left are these, which are a little bit harder. I mean, I could use this as a flower vase. These are kind of 2 of my least favorites out of the bunch. This is actually a root crop storage container. And I don't know, I think I might put this in the giveaway pile. It's held together on the sides by these like bows right here from the burlap. And I can't really see that or foresee needing this in the future. So this will probably go in giveaway. I might use this just to organize some of my supplies over there. I don't know, so I'll hang on to this one for a minute. This one we'll put out in the gator. And you can see out here, boy, the audio changes when we come out here. You can see what's in our giveaway pile thus far. And you can see our water jugs over here. I'm going to be using those for the branches we harvest here in a little while. Okay, next up is tackling all the vases here and the vases in these cupboards so that they fit a little bit better. And then also decluttering this workbench right here. Oh, I forgot one other thing. I've got all my berry picking baskets right here. So this one is like a whole system with our berry baskets in there. I love it. And then we've got individual berry picking baskets. They're just very lightweight and very small. So I decided just to pop them on the top of this for now. Oh, so it's full of poppy seeds. Look at this. Just thousands and thousands of poppy seeds. I love it. All right, we are done with this project for today. And oh my goodness, I am loving it. I love that everything has a place. I did stand back and look at this, and I think we need 1, 2, 3, 4 more baskets just to kind of finish it off. But it's such a great start, and I just love that the baskets have somewhere to be. Somewhere that they're easy to get to, and I think they look really cute, and I love that our wreaths have a place to land now. And we've still got our crate full of like giveaway vases right there. This table, much more space on it because this is typically where I come in and like dump my stuff. And it's really hard when it's just full of this and that. You have to scoot a lot of things out of the way. I've got our garbage can still in this area. Paul, he was making something with concrete and had a little bit left over. So he made a couple of stepping stones for the kids with their initials so that he thought they might want to paint them, which I thought was so sweet. So we're going to do that project this spring. I've got a couple of these little, what are they called? It's not a corbel, is it? Well, I don't know why that word comes to my brain. Anyway, they're heavy, they're concrete, and they're like little itty bitty shelves, and they would look really pretty in between the windows, but I need some serious hardware to hang those up. I don't really feel comfortable hanging those up by myself. But let's take a quick look through our shelves here. So shelf number 1, which I ended up scooting over quite a good ways toward the window. We've got all the things that I still use. See all the vases here. My favorite things to arrange in are like this, the champagne bucket, and any low bowl sort of situation. I've got an iron pot. I probably should take that to the barn. That really doesn't belong out here because it's got a drain hole. But there's that one, all nice and tidy. All of our glass vessels, like anything that's clear, needs to be cleaned at this point. But I decided just to arrange them anyway, and then we'll clean them when it gets closer to flower season because they're just going to sit in here and collect more dust, and it really wouldn't be worth it to do it at this point. And then here's a look at the second cupboard right here. The blue ball jars came from my grandma, my mom's mom. And there's just a whole bunch of different styles and things. This, I don't typically like. These are my least favorite shapes of vases. I just dislike tall, really thin vases. I like to have something, I could do that, like this one right here, because you can create something really huge. But tall and kind of like, I don't know, they seem like the typical vase that you find a arrangement like at a grocery store, right? Like with roses and baby's breath. That's just what I think of. I just don't enjoy arranging in that style or that shape of vase very much. But they are handy to have around because every once in a while I find myself needing one. And then this little heater is amazing. I turned it off. That's why I put the chair back. I didn't want there to be anything in front of it when it was running, but it really warms it up quick in here. But like I said, we only run it occasionally when we're in here in the cold, which this time of year, I just don't find myself doing projects out here as much as I do them in the Hartley or, you know, the greenhouse or studio where we've got heat. But boy, it's kind of misleading because when the heater is on in here, like the whole time I'm in here working, I think, oh, I should bring some plants out. Wouldn't that be so pretty? They would die tonight after I turned the heater off and just left them in here, but it would be pretty. And then we've got our status still hanging here. This is from 2 years ago. We should probably do a refresh of those bouquets, but there's still some nice color there. So one more look around, just a slow pan here. Take a look down that way at all those baskets. And then we're gonna head out and grab some branches. Oh, I love it in here. Gotta double check that that heater's off. You guys are my witness. It is off and cool. And then out here, which we never drive the gator on grassy areas in the wintertime, or try not to, but I had so much stuff back here. Just was easier. This is the giveaway pile in the end. So I'll go take that to my other things in the barn that we've got for giveaway. What a day to choose not to wear snow boots out here. Jeez. Gotta be real careful. Whoop. Real careful you won't get anything in your shoes. Okay, so we're right here at the end of the west side garden. If I pan this direction, you can see just exactly where we're at. We've got this huge black cat pussy willow shrub. And the wonderful thing about these is that they create these catkins right here. You can see the buds right here that open up to a beautiful silvery gray. In fact, some of them are opened or are opening currently. Look at those. Aren't those pretty? And they're one of the earliest things to create interest out here. You can also cut things at this point like forsythia, flowering almond, flowering cherry, things like that, to bring the branches in and force them inside. I would probably wait a little while longer on lilacs and let their buds swell up a little bit more. So, you know, depending on your weather, some years I could do it at this point of the year, and this year I can't because it's been too cold. So I think I'm just going to grab a couple of branches of these because we've got some really nice ones. Like, check this one out. It comes out and then it's just like this huge bouquet at the end of it. Look at that. Like, I don't even need anything else other than that one branch for one of our containers. And if you're bringing in branches to force, you do want to put them in water. That's why I'm going to use the water jugs. I'm just going to cut them to size, the size of the containers we're putting them in. That way we kind of, you know, protect the integrity of the container. It is a watertight container, but I want to keep it nice on the inside. I don't want like hard water lines and things like that, and that's kind of what usually happens. So let's grab our branches and then we'll take them in. I'm using the battery operated pruners for this job. Just because it's going to make it really quick and easy. Look at that bouquet. Isn't that awesome? And I don't need it to be this tall, but the rest of the branch really didn't have a lot of action on it, so I wanted to make sure to cut it down to where it looked appropriate. There you go. There's one. We are inside. You can see our fireplace and mantle area. And these two were the champagne buckets that I picked up on an antiquing trip with my mom and sister. And I absolutely love them right here. When we got done with our Christmas decor, I just popped those up and they've just had nothing in them. But I don't want to, like I said, have any water sitting in here for, it's probably be a few weeks that we keep the branches in here. So I think like these fit down in here beautifully. So if we cut the top out, then we can just put water in these and put our branches in, and then the vases will be protected. Seems like a good idea anyway. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a box knife and I'm just gonna try to cut this top off, maybe leaving the handle. We'll try that first. That doesn't want to cut. Scissors. Okay, this might be easier. Yeah, a lot easier. Once you make your first opening with the box knife. There we go. There's our vase. I wonder if I can just... Oh, yeah. Box knife is unnecessary. And I think dangerous. Perfect. Let's go get some water in these. Okay, I've got water in it. So I am just going to set it down in here. Hopefully that works out. Fire's finally taken off. Boy, we got a hold of some weird wood this year. Alright guys, so now I'm just going to run out and get the branches and get them all arranged. Alright, all of our branches are in. I used every last one of them, and they do look pretty simple today, but just give them a few days in this heat, and all of those catkins will burst open into a beautiful silvery display. I can't wait. That's one of the best parts about forcing branches, because when you bring them in, they still have kind of the bleakness of winter until you give them a little bit of that warmth. It's such a fun thing to do this time of year, and I cannot wait until our forsythias are big enough to cut on. I could cut a few little branches, but we just planted them in the ground. You know, those 10 show-off forsythias from our containers last spring. We planted them out into the dirt lands, and they all did beautifully last year. And I could see where all their buds were for this year's bloom. So I think we're going to have quite the show. And I just don't really have the heart to cut on those yet. So we'll get there. And then eventually we can have great big bouquets of yellow forsythia blooms in here. Wouldn't that be a cheerful sight? So now all I have left to do is just to put away all of my supplies from our projects today. I wanted to get the flower shed tackled today, and I really love how that's shaping up. It's just going to be such a fun space, and I cannot wait to get back out there again. You know, we've got so many flowers and things already started that are going to be out in that space. And I think, you know, we're going to be focusing on walkways out there. That's going to be our main focus for this year in that space, is to, you know, I'll make sure the boxwoods and the lindens are all healthy and happy, but also get the walkways nailed down. And I'm just going to kind of throw things in there this year and just use the space with its new kind of design. And then I'll kind of hone it and figure out how I want to go forward, because it might not be a space where I do, you know, 100% annuals. I might want to put, you know, some lavender hedging in there. I think that would be gorgeous. Or, you know, something like that. Anyway, just being out there though and near it and working in the flower shed just made me feel really excited for this coming spring. And, you know, with the rain, and I can hear the snow melting off of buildings right now, off of the house, and the warm days on the forecast, I don't think it's very far off. Maybe I shouldn't even say that. Don't want to speak too soon. And then it's always fun to bring a few things from outside inside, even in the winter. Just bring some life inside. So anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.